This week, Elon Musk turned the tables on BBC journalist James Clayton during an interview at Twitter HQ in San Francisco. Now, Clayton tried to pull one over on Musk by saying that since he has taken over Twitter, the site has become filled with hateful content. Have a look and see how Elon Musk responded.
Right. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
you
don't.
Can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why. Because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore. Because I just don't particularly like it.
Well, then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen that for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying.
Then I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Joining me now to discuss this and much more is Steve Krakauer, journalist, media critic, and author of the fantastic book, Uncovered: How the Media Got Cozy with Power, Abandoned Its Principles, and Lost the People. Steve, there was a huge outpouring of schadenfreude on social media over this interaction between Musk and this guy with the BBC. I didn't see a lot of hate speech in my Twitter feed. I saw people who loved seeing a reporter get their comeuppance for just throwing some kind of vague vibe fact out there. Is there a bigger lesson for the press in this sort of interaction?
Yes, I think that this is a reporter who is used to talking to people about Twitter, used to talking to people about Elon Musk. And then you can make those sorts of comments. Oh, there's a rise in hate speech, right? Some random NGO said so, something we don't know that calculated it and said it. But then you have put Elon Musk in front of you and you get him interested in pressing you. Oh, well, where is it? Tell it. And it went on like this. I mean, that was a great clip, but it went on for minutes. And it's just a great example of a journalist being unprepared, but also taking, as you mentioned, this sort of vibe, oh, well, we just feel like this is the truth, but not actually caring about the facts or the truth and bringing any sort of evidence to the actual interview. Just totally caught off guard. And it was a great moment for Elon Musk and a great moment, I think, for journalists to look at it and say, don't be this person. Come with some level of preparation if you're going to have a big interview.
Well, it reminded me so much of, Margaret Thatcher saying, name them, to journalists who accused her side of various things. But I want to move on now to Joe Biden, who seems to be hiding from the media at the moment. He's in Ireland. He has not done a formal press conference, and I think it's been around 150 days since the last time he stood up before the press. Earlier in the program, we had another journalist from Washington who said it is absolutely extraordinary that there hasn't been a bilateral press conference between the president and the prime minister, which normally happens on these foreign visits. Have a look and see how he's been handling the media. Every time they try to ask a question in Ireland, his handlers shuffle them out of the room.
We're walking out this way. We're walking out this way. We're walking out. We're walking out. Listen. We're walking out this way.
Thank you. We're
press. We're moving. We're moving.
And the press in the States has been asking why they're not allowed to ask questions. Have a look at what Karine Jean-Pierre said about this.
So I'll say this. It is also unprecedented that a president takes as many shouted questions as this president has. And he has. Okay.
I'll tell you, almost every day on this
okay. Well, we'll certainly get the data and share that with all of you.
Is the media now, Steve, finally starting to wake up and say Joe Biden is not their friend and just get absolutely sick of the fact that they have no access to the president?
I think there's a combination of things going on here. I think on one level, Karine Jean-Pierre is not performing very well in her press secretary duties. Jen Psaki, when she was behind the podium, had a president that also didn't take questions, also didn't hold press conferences, but she would come and she would answer questions. She wasn't always honest. That's what press secretaries do. But she was competent. Karine Jean-Pierre is not that. And so I think they're getting annoyed with the person who's standing between them and the president not doing their job also. But the other thing I think that's going on here, it's a little bit what you got to in the last segment. Is Joe Biden running for president? And is he competent himself to be running for president? And if he's not able to take questions from the press, you see the interactions that he has with everyone he encounters on this foreign trip. I mean, it's embarrassing. And if he's not prepared to go and do that, this is not 2020. This is not the pandemic. He can't hide in the basement. He's going to have to take tough questions. He's going to have to go on the trail. And the press does not want Donald Trump to win again in 2024. And if Joe Biden's not up to the task, they need to get someone else in there. So I think you're going to see the press really start to push this as 2023 gets going.
And in the media offices in the White House where they strategize about all of this, do you think they're really asking serious questions about whether or not Joe Biden is even capable of standing up before the press and handling an hour of off-the-cuff questioning?
Yeah, I remember, I mean, he's held so few press conferences that you remember moments from the ones that he has. It was only, I believe it was in January, was I think his last press conference. And he had that embarrassing comments about Russia. I mean, you put him in front of the press and he completely fails, and it goes backwards in terms of messaging for his administration. So they know what the stakes are. And I think that's really what the calculus here is. You can't put him in front of the press. Can you actually get him to run for president and get in front of the people? You know, even if he's not taking questions to the press is going to cover his events. That's going to be a huge problem for them if they feel like they cannot even trust him for a few seconds taking questions from the random person at the diner.
And finally, just on the question of trust, not trust of the president and his verbal ability, but rather the trust of the people and the press. How are the American people and how's the American press, their relationship at the moment when the American people see the very different way that Joe Biden's scandals, and including this whole potential thing of millions of dollars being funneled from the Chinese Communist Party or linked entities to the Biden family, versus the way Trump is being treated by the press? Has anything changed since the last time we spoke, or is it still situation normal with this, and that the press, even despite the way they're treated by the White House, is still covering, in a sense, for Biden by not taking a hard look at things that if it was Trump and foreign money, they'd be all over?
Oh, absolutely. The situation is not the same, it's worse, I would say. Take a look. This is a good tell. Who is the person that's standing next to Joe Biden in a lot of these clips that you see on this foreign trip? It's Hunter Biden. The Biden administration cares so little about the actual investigation that's going on of Hunter Biden, the potential congressional hearings that we're going to be having about Hunter Biden's business dealings. The press isn't going to cover it. Hunter Biden goes on this trip, is right there next to his father. They don't care, and the press doesn't care. And it's very obvious, not even just for people on the right, people in the middle, people who are apolitical can see that it's total hypocrisy from our American media on what gets covered and what doesn't, depending on who's in the White House.
Steve Krakauer, author of Uncovered. I urge everybody to go out and buy that book. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.